Today we are going to be creating some printed and painted snowflakes. So we're going to start with some of the tools on the tray at your table to begin with circle prints. So I'm going to take a marker cap and dipping just the end in that paint. I am going to get white paint on that marker cap and stamp with it. So I'm trying to create some nice circles. And some of those are just going to stay circle snowflakes. Some of them are going to end up being bigger. I'm going to try a different marker cap, stamping, and I'm just kind of spreading out these snowflakes. I don't want it to look like a blizzard. I want it to look like a nice, peaceful snowfall. I got a couple oopses on there, and that's okay. There's also some Q-tips for you to try making some nice, tiny little snowflake dots. When you have your paper filled up with stamped, printed snowflakes, you can switch to your brush, and using some of those ideas we looked at on the smartboard, you can add more to some of these snowflakes. They should look the same all the way around. They might have lines, they might have shapes, they might have both, but I'm making it symmetrical all the way around. Maybe on this one, I'm going to do some circles at the bottom, at the top. I'm using my nice skinny brush, making my snowflakes the best I can with this little brush. I might add some lines in there too. I encourage you to try making 5 really interesting, different snowflakes. I'm going to connect these. Almost looks like a rhombus shape I connected them with. Once you have 5 different looking snowflakes, you can just set this paper to the side. We are going to use it at the end of art to do all of our gluing. So let's pretend that Mrs. Cleary has all of these snowflakes looking very, very different. She's going to set that paper to the side, and she's going to move on to the mitten part. We need one of those white pieces of paper you'll find at your table and a pencil to start. We need 2 mittens, so we're going to use that folding trick. And I'm going to lay my hand on my paper. Now, my hands are much bigger than yours. If you need a friend to help you with this part, ask a friend next to you. I'm going to make a shape bigger than my hand because when I wear a mitten, my whole hand has to fit inside of it. So I'm rounding a rainbow line around my 4 fingers, and then I'm leaving a space from my thumb as well, and I'm coming all the way back down to the bottom of the paper. Once I have that, I'm going to cut my mittens out. On that pencil line as best as I can. My paper is staying folded, and that's how the magic happens, and I get 2 mittens. Let's see, did it work? It did. Now, if I leave my mittens like this, they're not going to fit my thumbs. I'm going to have to flip one so that the thumbs are facing in. I'm going to go right to my Sharpie marker, and I'm going to do some patterns and design work on my mittens. What I do on one mitten, I have to match it on the other side. So I just made some lines. Maybe I'll make a wobbly line on this mitten, and then I know I have to match it on the other side. Maybe my thumb has a couple of straight lines. So have fun making a pattern. You can also make a picture if you want at the top. So maybe I'm going to make one of those fun looking snowflakes. But I know anything I do on one mitten, I've got to do on the other. Once you have your pattern and design on your mitten, you can switch to those construction paper crayons. So these are just a little different than regular crayons. They're a little bit brighter and thicker, and they're going to give us some really nice colors on our mittens. But remember, mittens come in pairs, in sets. They match. So what you color on one mitten, you have to color the same on the other. I'm hoping you can do a little pretending and pretend that my mittens are colored exactly the same, just like the ones we saw hanging up in the art room. So Once your mittens are all colored, we're pretending mine are colored, we are going to shop at the store counter for a piece of paper for the cuff of our coat. So these are going to go at the bottom of the mittens. This is just way too big, so I am going to actually fold this in half, long and skinny. And then I'm going to fold it in half again the other direction. When I open it up, I have 4 rectangles. That's going to help me with my cutting. Right on those fold lines, I'm going to cut. And I have an extra sheet I don't need. So I can return this to the store counter or give it to a friend, and they could just cut it in half and use it. I'm going to use this piece and cut it on the other fold. And there's the cuffs of my mittens. So a friend can use this, or you can give it to the store counter. At this point, I'm going to pull back my snowflakes. And they are not entirely dry, so I got to be a little bit careful when I get to my gluing part. I am going to glue the bottom cuff first. So I'm putting a little bit of glue all over that rectangle. I'm going to do the same thing with the other rectangle. These have to be glued at the very bottom of the paper, spaced out, so my mittens can get on top. Now, if I have a space, it's going to look like I have an invisible arm. So make sure that these are touching the bottom of your snowflake paper. I'm going to glue one mitten, and I'm going to make sure I kind of tuck it behind. Now, I covered up some of my snowflakes that I was painting. That might happen. You might want to spend some time making those fancy snowflakes around the edge of your paper so that you don't cover it up, because I'm going to cover that one too. Little bit of glue. Tuck it underneath that cuff. I'm just kind of tapping. I don't want to push because I know my snowflakes might be wet. So if I was going to do anything different, I would make those fancy snowflakes around the edge of the paper because I just covered up my beautiful paintings. When you're all done, you can put them in the drying rack.